Hello, welcome back to the Your Everyday Strength podcast. My name is Josh Sternberg, and if you're just joining us here for the very first time today, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. If you are returning, you already know the fucking drill. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for coming back. Let's fucking rip in. I would love to be able to move my camera and show you right now, but for some reason, Sammy has decided, hey, Dad, you're recording the podcast. Now is the perfect time for me to go fucking psychotic on the carpet just outside of the office. So he's having a field day at the moment, which is fantastic. But yeah, hope everyone's having a fantastic Friday or whatever day you actually listen to this. Obviously, this does drop on a Friday, every single Friday at 6 a.m. local time. The only reason I know that it's local time is because Spotify has a little setting to allow yourself to do it. Now, this is episode 30. What a fucking time to be alive that is. Unbelievable. And if I'm completely honest, today's Thursday. Normally I record the podcast on a Wednesday. The reason I did not record the podcast yesterday is because I really didn't have any fucking idea what to talk about. But I'm going to drop a little sneak preview. There's some really cool things that are going to be happening with the podcast. I have some exciting things that are going to be happening with the podcast. So as that starts to come a little bit more to fruition, I will release more details. And then, yeah, I'm very, very excited. Obviously, we're coming into the back end of the year. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of just different shit going on. And I think that that's probably, one of my favorite times of the year to reflect, to really look at everything that you've done, how this year's gone for you so far, and even start to plan out 2026 or the next year. Now, I figured that this is actually a perfect time and a perfect sort of segue into today's topic, which today's topic, if you haven't already figured out by the title of today's episode, is Audit Your Life. Now, everybody knows I love a system. Probably more a touch of the tism than anything, but I'm a very systemized individual. I have a Google Calendar that is color coordinated. Oh. You might want to check the connection setting. I don't know why my Google has decided it just wants to start talking all of a sudden, just in random points. As I was saying, I'm a very systemized individual. Now, I love a good structure. I love a good calendar. I love mapping out shit every single fucking day because it helps me to feel productive. It's also how I've seen the greatest amount of success arise. It's also how I've seen the greatest amount of success arise for others. Now, I know that not everybody's going to be in a similar situation to myself where, I run a business, I work from home, I basically am my own boss. So I kind of have to manage my own time a little bit better. Some people listening to this will work 9 to 5s. Some people will just work casually, whatever the case might be. Ever since I was working full time, I have utilized Google Calendar. I have ran schedules. I have done the lot because it just helps my brain. And I'm a massive, massive believer in reducing decision fatigue as much as we can. As a reason that I wear basically the same clothes every single day. If you were to look at my wardrobe, and this is exposing myself massively, I have 12 of the same singlet in black, 9 of the same singlet in white. All of my underwear are the exact same. I have the same socks that are either black or white. They're both Nike. They're the same fucking ones. And my shorts are 2 different variations of shorts that I buy that are basically the exact same. That's it. That's pretty much all I wear most days, which is kind of ironic because I have a different shirt on today. But I figured I would spice it up a little bit, look a bit presentable on the podcast. I've noticed lately that a lot of the reels and stuff like that I'm putting out are all either black singlet or white singlet. So today we do have a black tee, IQ Sups, IQSups.net. Go buy your signups pre-workout. There's my plug for the day. If you didn't remember, I have a pre-workout company, have a supplement company. Go buy it. It's really fucking good. The feedback's been amazing. Anywho, that kind of helps with today's topic because juggling a whole different range of businesses can be very fucking difficult. It's why you need to be systemized. Now, with today's topic of audit your life, it matters. It matters for people who are trying to build something. It matters for people who are trying to achieve things, whether that is a specific goal with training, with nutrition, within your job, within your personal life, whatever the case might be. It's a really good habit to get into where you essentially audit the things that you're doing to assess whether they are A, leading to the goal outcome that you desire, or B, detracting from the goal outcome that you desire. There's realistically only two options. Things either add or they do not add. Or maybe I should say add or subtract. Who knows? You can figure it out for yourself. You get what I'm saying. Now, this isn't about judgment. This is not for you to feel hypercritical of yourself and feel down on yourself and feel bad about the things that you maybe aren't doing. It's just a point of reflection to maybe open your eyes a little bit to show yourself where you can improve things. And let's just remember that like everything we do in life is a cascade effect based upon the small habits that we do daily. If you perform daily, good, consistently, you will achieve good, great, fantastic things. If you do shit in the other direction, you're probably not going to achieve the things you want to achieve over the long term. Everything just cascades from your small incremental daily habits that you implement. So it's not about judgment. It's about awareness and alignment, understanding, hey, this is where I want to be. Maybe at this point in time, I am not the person I need to be to achieve that. Then you can go through and audit, edit, change, adjust. But at the end of the day, bringing awareness to it allows you to actually make a change. Whereas if you have no awareness around it and you're kind of just like fucking fumbling your way through life and not really taking the moment to reassess where you're headed and the direction with which you're going, then all of a sudden you'll look back and go, oh, fuck, I don't know how everything failed. It's like, well, actually, if you'd gone and checked in at any point with yourself in the last 6 months, you would have seen why this wasn't working the way you wanted it to work. Now, it really epitomizes the ethos around the Your Everyday Strength podcast, which is strength through everything from physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It is encompassing all planes. We want to look at everything as a whole, as a system. It's not just about one domain over another. At the end of the day, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you're really, really slacking off in one area and you're doing really well in another, if you brought the other area up, even just a small amount, you don't know how much more that could positively impact all the other areas. Even if they're currently doing good, they could go to great. Or if they're doing average, they could go to good. Like there's so many different ways that you could actually help yourself. And I'll give you a few key examples of things I've been doing myself recently and how it has actually helped me and how it has had a positive flow and effect into all of the areas of my life. Now, as I said, like I have recently, more so than ever, been doing a little bit of an audit. I have been assessing to see where my time has been going. What have I been doing? Have I been busy or have I been productive? Because you can be busy and productive, or you can just be busy for the sake of being busy. They are two very separate things. A lot of people turn around and say, oh, I don't have time. I'm too busy. I'm this, I'm that. And when reality hits, it's not that they don't have time. It's just not a priority. And instead of just owning that and being like, hey, I actually don't prioritize that as something that I need to put time and effort into, they're just like, oh no, I don't have time for that. I think if more people were just honest with themselves and instead of saying, I don't have time, they just said, that's not a priority, the world would be a better place and you probably would feel a little bit better about yourself if you're feeling a little bit down. So it helps to recalibrate. It helps to just get your systems in place to ensure that you are tracking forward in the direction that you want to go. It's fantastic. So it comes from, first and foremost, an honest check-in with yourself. You need to have a hard conversation with yourself. This doesn't mean you need to go and tell anybody else what you're doing. It just means you need to be 100% honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, then you realize you lack integrity. at the end of the day. If you cannot have a hard, honest conversation with yourself, if you want to live in this like land of delusion where you feed yourself these lies, these bullshit stories that you tell yourself, all of the things, all the reasons why you can't do something, instead of actually sitting down and addressing and being like, okay, maybe I actually can do these things, that's fine. By all means, have at it. This is probably not the podcast for you. And I would almost guarantee that there's not a single person listening to this podcast who is in that basket. Every single person that I've spoken to that's listened to the potty, that's checked in, that sent me a message, all of it, they're looking to do better in their lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of it. They want better for themselves. As a byproduct of that, they're going to show up better for others. Others are now positively affected by what they are doing, which it has this massive fucking flow-on effect. Spoken about it time and time again. We're not going to continue. We're not going to go down that path today. But having an honest conversation with yourself. Now, a couple of key prompts. And today I wanted to implement quite a lot of like actionable steps that you can take from this podcast. If you have a piece of paper, great. If you're driving in your car, well, don't whip out a piece of paper because especially in Queensland, they've just updated the driver distraction laws, and it is now a finable offence to be drinking water. It is now a finable offence to be eating, which like I'm pretty sure it's always been a finable offence to be eating. But like I used to drive myself home with my knees while eating rice and chicken off of my lap. So like, I don't know. I'm glad I never got caught. Anyways, moving on. But yeah, so some prompts that you can utilize, and you don't have to share these with anyone, as I said. But if you're going to do it, and if you're going to sit down and write these out, make sure you're fucking honest with yourself. Do not feed your own lies, bullshit, and illusions about what you are doing. Be realistic. Because I can guarantee right now that once you're actually honest with yourself and not coming at it from a point of negativity, but actually positivity, instead of being like, oh, fuck, I'm failing in all of these areas, being like, fuck yeah, look at all of these areas of my life that I can actually put some effort and time into to see them improve. Most people have done really fucking great things in their life at some point. They've achieved things they never thought possible. They found belief in themselves when they didn't know that it was there. Utilize this, put it in place, watch your life fucking flourish. I promise you that right now. Prompt 1. Where am I currently showing up? Where am I falling short? Notice very particularly the language that is used. It's not where am I losing? It's not where am I failing? It's not where am I fucking up? It's where am I falling short? Short of your own expectations, or maybe short of the expectations of those around you. If you work for somebody and they have expectations on you to perform with KPIs or things like that, where might you be falling short within that role that you could be even 1% better? Because 1% better over the course of every single day is 365% better over the course of the year. Your life will be so fucking different. What am I pretending to know? I put up a post the other night on Instagram, and it was essentially talking about the trap of I know what I'm doing, or I know what I need to do. Too often, and I am so fucking guilty of this myself, we sit there and say, oh, I know what I should be doing, but I'm just not doing it. Oh, I know what I need to do to achieve my goals, but I'm just not doing it. It's like, do you actually know what you need to be doing? And you're not doing it, which at that point, it's a choice. You are choosing to not work toward your goals, which is fine. Again, completely up to you. Or is your ego going to be bruised by you just turning around and admitting that you don't know what you're doing? I don't know what I'm doing in so many fucking scenarios and situations. I have no idea anything to do with my car. So you know what happens when something goes wrong with my car? I take it to people who know. If I'm sick, I go to the fucking doctor. If there's something I need to do or know, I go to the person who knows that. It's no different to having a coach. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I know what I need to be doing. And I'm like, well, you don't. Your results don't speak for that. Your results don't show that. If you knew what you needed to be doing, you wouldn't be 20 kilos overweight with high blood pressure, fucking stressed out of your mind. That's just the reality. So what am I pretending not to know? Perfect. The next one. If someone followed me around for a week, would my actions match my goals? This is actually one that I've thought about quite a lot. And quite a few years back, it was one that instigated something in me that I was like, fuck, if I had a reality TV crew following me around right now, would I feel like I am living up to my word? Or would I feel like a fake, a fraud? And the reality was I would feel like a fraud at that point in time because I wasn't doing the things I knew I needed to be doing. And again, I can put my hand on my heart and say that there's more recent times where that has been the case. And again, it's fucking funny. I've been dumping a lot of my brain thoughts onto Instagram lately. So if you're interested at all, go and have a read a few of my recent posts. But one of the things that I had to audit recently was how I was showing up for myself versus having the expectations on my clients. I was expecting my clients to do things that I knew deep down I wasn't doing. And that took a lot for me to sit with and address and get angry about. And I got so angry at myself about it. Funnily enough, I wrote about this yesterday. Now, this is going to be very, very sort of vulnerable because it's the reality. And I feel like not even potentially, I've seen it time and time again. When people share vulnerability or when people share things that are genuine or inside their brain, it helps others. And I've always been somebody who's been really keen to help other people by sharing maybe what's going on in my life, letting the walls down a little bit and allowing people to see behind the curtain just to realize maybe they're not alone. So I'm going to read something I wrote in my journal, and I quite literally wrote this yesterday because it was something that has been a little bit more prevalent at the moment within my business. Now, I'm pissed at myself for allowing the standard to slip so badly that clients take being held accountable as an attack. That's solely on me. I was too afraid of not signing clients or losing them. I lost sight of one of my biggest roles and responsibilities as a coach. I am there to guide and lead, not handhold and be a cheerleader. I am different. Better standards for myself and those I work with. They deserve it. I deserve it. I'm proud of myself for showing up today the way I did. The new standard is here to stay. Gang. That was me having to be so fucking honest with myself, not blaming those around me, not blaming other people. I am solely responsible for everything that happens within my business, to my business, for my business. It's on me. This is kind of the levels that you need to get to if you're wanting to be completely honest and open with yourself. It can hurt. It can hurt your ego. It can, I was genuinely pissed off at myself, but I didn't beat myself up about it. I wrote it down. I addressed it. I sat with it, and I put a plan in place to ensure that it does not happen again. I owe it to myself and I owe it to my clients. The actionable steps that you can take that will come as a result of this. Now, I like to do a daily reflection. You can do a weekly reflection or you could do a monthly reflection. Realistically speaking, you should probably do weekly at a minimum. Doing it monthly, you're going to forget basically everything that's happened in that month. I do it fucking daily and I forget things that happen in that day. So do a daily or weekly reflection audit. List your core pillars: health, business, relationships, growth, recovery. For you, these core pillars might be a little bit different. It could just be health, family, like growth, financial, whatever the case might be, whatever your pillars are, list them down. Write a score of 1 to 10. If any of them are below, like, let's be realistic, an 8. A 7 and below is not great. They need to be addressed immediately. But if anything's around that 8 to 10, cool. If there's something around that like 5 to 7, they need to be addressed immediately. Ask yourself, once you've listed these down and written your little scoring next to it, what would move this 1 point higher next week? And it doesn't even have to be anything fucking massive. It can be something so small. One thing for me that I've actually started doing at the moment is I've started putting my phone on Do Not Disturb and sitting in silence while I eat my lunch. It's only probably 15 minutes, and I will be honest, I don't do it every day. There are some days where I zone out during my lunch and I just have something on the TV in the background and I just kind of veg out a little bit before I get back up and go into work. But other days, when my mind is busy and it's racing and I just need a little bit of quiet time, just sit there in silence, eat my food, and just be present with that moment. And that has helped me more than I could possibly even think about. It's nothing massive. It wasn't anything drastic. It was quite literally phone on Do Not Disturb, eat my lunch in silence. And it helped me so fucking much to just get back into the swing of things with work. It helped me to solve problems when I was going back up. I came back clearer, calmer, more collected, ready to go and get stuck back in for the afternoon. Then a journal prompt that you can ask yourself after listening to this episode. If nothing changed in the next 6 months, how would you feel? How would I feel? How would you feel? If nothing changed, remember the old saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. The definition of insanity is attempting to do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Pretty sure that was Einstein. Can't claim that one for myself, unfortunately. I don't really have any quotes that I would want people to reference in future years. Anyway, unless there's some from this podcast, you never know. Maybe one day I'll be one of those really cool guys that gets like a still image of their head and then there's just a quote next to it and people reshare it on Instagram and stuff. I hope they use a nice photo if that's the case. Anyways, moving on. Number 2, time blocking and energy management. I was very fucking fortunate at the start of this week that I got to get on a call. I got invited to be on a call with a lady named Natalie. Now, Natalie is one of the mindset coaches / mentors for acquisition. If you don't know what acquisition is, it's Alex Hormozi's company. Natalie is one of the head mindset mentors that work within Alex Hormozi's company, Acquisition, to help 7, 8, 9-figure income earners with their mindset. Now, I'm going to just ask one question because a lot of people sit there and say they don't need to work on their brains, their minds, etc. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not one of them. If there are people out there who are earning 7, 8, 9 figures and they are still seeking the assistance of somebody to help them with their mindset, do you not think that it's probably a good thing for everybody to be doing? I'm just going to leave that one there. But basically the call this week was about time blocking and energy management, the way in which to capitalize on your time every single week to get the most out of it. Time blocking was a big thing. I've discussed it before with relation to scheduling and everything like that. I obviously utilize my calendar quite a lot. Time blocking is fucking massive. Audit how you spend time, not just where you spend it, but how you spend it. Because you could sit there and say, oh, well, I've scheduled 2 hours for this and 2 hours for this and 2 hours for this, but one task only took you 30 minutes and then you didn't really do anything for the next hour and a half because you didn't have to do the next task until that time. And then all of a sudden, if you actually go through your day, you're like, fuck, I could have had an extra 4 hours up my sleeve. And that might be an extra 4 hours that you finish early. Just remember, there is a difference between busy and productive. You do not need to just jam-pack your schedule because you have availability in there. If the work that you're putting within that time is not productive, if it's not helping move the needle forward, if you're just filling space for the sake of filling space, it's actually probably worthwhile to not do that more than it is to do it. There's always things to be done. There's always more work to be done. But unless that work is productive and actually helping assist you moving forward, then it's probably just not worth your fucking time. Because a lot of people overestimate how busy they are and they don't assess how efficient they are. It's genuinely, like, time is your only limited resource in this world. Money will come. No matter what you do, money will always come. Time is the only thing you can't get back. So if you're wasting, 2, 3, 4 hours a day, that's a lot of fucking time over the course of a week that you could be better spent doing other things. And I'm currently reading a book at the moment that's really cool. It's called The Fourth Pillar by Harry Moffat. He's an ex-SAS soldier and also a psychiatrist, one of the two. Basically, the chapter that I was reading yesterday was about time. And one of his things that he does when he goes through and audits a business owner's time or a company or whatever is he looks at the way in which they're spending their time. Now, a lot of people, if you were to sit down and ask someone, okay, what do you value? They value family, they value work-life balance, they value all of these things, right? And then if you actually look at their schedule, and this is something he mentioned in there, when you actually look at their schedule, the reality is they're dedicating all of their time to other tasks. So financial and business related tasks are absolutely a critical thing to be focusing on. But if you're not scheduling time with your family, if you're not scheduling time to catch up with friends, if you're not scheduling time for yourself, whether that be to journal, reflect, go for a walk, fucking anything, if you're just trying to cram your day full of all this other shit that's going to be productive, you're missing the whole point. And this is where the time auditing, assessment, reassessment, all of it comes into play. With the actionable steps, before you even need to start smacking in a whole bunch of shit on Google Calendar like I've done, remembering that I've utilized Google Calendar for the better part of like probably 8 years now, 9 years, pretty consistently. For one whole week, just audit your week for 1 week. Write down what you do every hour. Have a notepad and pen next to you. Have a diary. Have something near you that you can just jot it down and be like, especially if you're a business owner or even if you're doing your job at work, be like, cool, what did you do between 9 to 10? What did you do between 10 to 11? Start to audit your week. Start to write down what you do every single hour. Then when you get to the end of that week, highlight wasted or low value time. Now, this is something to be hypercritical of in honesty. If you spend an hour scrolling, write it down. If you procrastinate starting a task, write it down. If you spend 20, 30 minutes overthinking instead of just executing, write it down. One of my biggest things that I am writing down every day at the moment to help remind myself, because I have a tendency to do this, is switching faster between tasks when a task is done. Oftentimes I'll finish a task and then if I've got like time left within that time block, I kind of like fart ass around a little bit. I fucking procrastinate a little bit. I find things to keep it busy instead of just being like, all right, done, move, done, move. Speed kills. And fucking hate to sound like Hormozy here, but it's a quote I've heard from him. Speed kills. Get shit done. If you can get through your day faster, do it. One of my favorite things about being a coach is that you can be as productive or as slow as you want. I can hear of coaches who somehow find a way to spend 8 to 10 hours doing like 5 to 6 check-ins. And I myself know for a fact that you can get that down in a hell of a lot quicker. Now, that doesn't mean the quality is any less. It just means you're probably taking the piss a little bit in how you do it. Again, a lot of the stuff that I speak about comes from personal experience and time spent doing the fucking thing. So when you then go through your framework, now this could be different for everyone because not everyone is super productive in the morning. Some people are a little bit sluggish. They like a slower morning or they like to go and train first or whatever the case might be. So I'm going to put this focus on what I would structure it. So for me, my mornings are my deep work and quote unquote deep thinking. So for me, the morning is where my brain is on the most. It is where I'm most productive from a output perspective with my work. So that is what I prioritize in the morning. I get through my list of tasks as fast as I fucking can first thing in the morning from the time I start work. From there, when I train, it's generally I will go to train around 11 or 12 o'clock. So for me, if I'm starting work, I'm getting on my computer at like 6:30. I will work from 6:30 till 10:30 or 11, depending upon the day, sometimes a little bit later, sometimes a little bit less. I will get through as much shit as I can in that time. I'll then break my day up. I'll go and train. I come back. I have lunch. Depending upon where my brain's at that point in time, I'll either take Sammy for a walk if I want to get some sunshine, and then I'll come back and lock in for the next few hours of work, or I'll just jump straight back on my computer and get back to work again. This can differ day to day depending upon what I have available. But so my mornings are my focus work / deep thinking time. My midday is like movement. And then my afternoon is generally like my admin / meetings. So 9 times out of 10, if I'm booking calls and stuff with clients, idealistically, I'm actually booking them in the afternoon. I'd much prefer to get through my morning of work, social content, all of the things that are going to help me to push my business further. So working on my business, I should say, rather than just working in it. These are the things that are going to be most critical for me in a day. Now, what we can utilize is one big thing. So each day has one non-negotiable outcome. For me, I've spoken about the tasks before. I write down quite a lot of tasks. For some people, this can be very overwhelming, especially when they're just starting. So you might only write down 3 tasks, 3 critical tasks for that day to get done. And that could be, one could be personal, one could be work or business related, one could be physical. So the personal might be something to do with whatever it might be for you. Could be education, could be just something that's going to help push the needle forward for yourself. It could be meditating, it could be journaling, like any of these things that are going to be personal to you. We then have something that's business or financial related, so that's pushing the needle forward in terms of that. And then you might have something that's more physical bias. So whether that could be going for a walk, going for a run, training, stretching, foam rolling, whatever the case might be, find something for you. If you want to set one big thing over the course of the day that's a non-negotiable, that will help you push the needle forward in that. Number 3, systems over motivation. So you need to stop relying on feelings and start building infrastructure. Basically, what we're going to talk about here is the fact that routines remove friction. If you know you have to get to the next task, you just go and do it. What I found is when I went back through and did a really big audit of my time is I would always have up until about midday fully locked the fuck in. I knew what I was doing at what time, where I was spending my time, how I was spending it, etc., etc. Then once it got to the afternoon, I would kind of run on the notion that it was just it's very fluid. I'll just do what I feel like doing. And 9 times out of 10, I would be so unproductive in the afternoon that it'd be like a fucking waste of time half the time. What I have since found is that now that I'm starting to lock things into the afternoon blocks as well, is I'm so much more productive and I'm getting so much more shit done over the course of the week that it's helping. Like if I can pull a week's worth of work into 2-3 days, it means I get to start working on the next week, or it means I get to start working on something else. There are so many things that I can be doing that are helping push the needle forward across coaching, across the podcast, across IQ subs, across my training, all of it. There's so many things that I can be doing to help myself. And if I'm allowing myself more time by just being slightly more productive with my time, I'm going to take that every single fucking day of the week. Now, it's at the end of the day, success is predictable when you have a system. If you've got no fucking system, if you've got no structure, if you have no framework about how you're doing anything, you're not going to know how to succeed. When you do start to stack wins, you're not going to know how or where they're coming from. That's why we track things like data. That's why we track our time. That's why we track all of these different metrics. If we want to succeed in training, we track our training. If we want to succeed with our weight loss or weight gain goals, we track our food. So it probably makes sense that we're tracking basically everything that we're doing within our lives to ensure that we're actually putting the work in and the effort that is needed to get to where we want to go. Perfecto. Create habit anchors. Now, I spoke about this the other week, especially when you are trying to create new habits, and that's habit stacking. Basically, what that means is if you're trying to implement new habits, it's really, really easy to do so if you stack it with something else. So an example that I have written here is after I finish breakfast, I open my content planner. For me, I am so dialed into my morning routine, I could probably run it on autopilot and never have to think about it again. As soon as I finish my breakfast, I walk straight upstairs, I brush my teeth, I come in, I sit down, I write my intention for the day, I write my daily gratitude, and then I write down my daily tasks that I have to get done every single day. That is what I do. As soon as I finish breakfast, I come straight up. I know what I'm doing. And then I can rip into my day knowing full clarity around what I'm doing, how I'm spending my time, and where I'm going to be doing things, or if I need to add some stuff in. And the best part is if something pops up unexpectedly, it's okay. I don't need to stress because I'm like, oh, fuck, cool, easy as. Well, what I can do is I can just shuffle this block to here, and I'm just going to fit that into there. So with today, for example, doing the podcast today instead of yesterday, it's meant I've had to shuffle some things around, which meant I've moved some tasks to tomorrow. I did some of the tasks that I would do today yesterday, and I factored this in to fit it in this morning. I got through my morning work a little bit quicker, so I jumped on and was able to start this a little bit earlier, which means that I'll be able to get into the next task quicker. Does that mean I could potentially finish my day a little bit earlier today? Yes. What a fucking win. We're always looking to finish days earlier when we're at work. You can do so for yourself too. Like, you don't have to be fucking working 24/7. This hustle culture doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be fucking winning. Using alarms or visual cues to prompt transitions. I have alarms for certain things, especially if they're new habits that I'm trying to implement. Visual cues, I'm very big on writing. Obviously, I write journals. I write Post-it notes. I leave them around places too. If there's something that's like super specific that I need to keep in my brain, I'll set a reminder on my phone so that way it will pop up and I can just go and see it or do it or whatever the case might be, because I can forget and that happens and it's super common. So utilizing alarms, visual cues, etc., they will help you with your transitions. Once I finish a task, I have a quick suss of my calendar and I'm like, cool, bang, on to the next one. Let's get it moving. Now, the reset ritual. We've already discussed auditing your time once a week to just see how things are tracking, how you've gone over the course of this week. Once you start to get into the habit of it, and this is something I started to implement that made a huge difference, rather than me starting my Monday morning and then looking at planning out the entire week, I took that time and I put it on a Sunday. Now, this is only 30 to 60 minutes that I spend on a Sunday mapping out my entire week. It's no different to people doing meal prep. We meal prep at the start of a week. Now, our meal prep at the start of the week might take 2 hours, but that saves us time from having to cook every single day, which at the end of the day, we've already discussed, time is the only commodity you can't get back. If you're able to save yourself 45 to 60 minutes a day from cooking by spending 2 hours on a Sunday, you've saved yourself a fuck ton of time and decision fatigue. Spending 30 minutes on a Sunday, look over the course of your week. Have you got your food prepped? How's your training looking? Have you got that scheduled in on the days with which you're going to be doing it? Have you got your sessions planned out? Do you know what you're doing with them? How's your weekly schedule looking? Do you have everything in there that you need? Is there some time that you're going to have available where you can push the needle forward in other areas? What is going on? Like, how is the week ahead looking for you? And then you can start your Monday with full clarity, drive, vision, and you know exactly what you're doing and when. Review top 3 priorities. So work, health, relationships. As I said, it's not just enough to be looking at everything from the business lens or the training lens or the nutrition. Look at how you're spending the week with your partner. If you've got kids, make sure you're factoring in these things as well. Don't let them be just something that comes as, oh, okay, I've got time at the end of the day, I'll try and spend time with the kids or something like that. Now, I'm not a parent, so I can't speak to the schedule with parents have to keep. I can tell you right now, I've seen way too many fucking times where divorces occur or shit happens because, the dad was working to support the kids, but he was never had time for the kids. He was never there for the kids. And a post that I actually saw the other day from a bloke I follow who's fucking fantastic. If you're not following him, His name's Watini. What I cannot pronounce his last name, so I'm going to butcher this, but it's like Watini Watanga. He's phenomenal. He runs a group called Amend, and I've watched him, like I've known him for years now, and I've watched him where he started his journey to where he is now, and it's fucking awesome. But he basically put up a post, and it was a quote saying, in the lens of a father, I would die for my kids, or I would die for my family. And then he basically goes on to say that your family don't want you to die for them. They want you to live for them. I can promise you, and this is even myself, growing up, had busy parents. Sometimes would there be times when it would be nice to have them around more? Yes, absolutely. As a parent, I understand that you probably think you're doing the right thing by being like working your fucking ass to the bone so that you can support your kids and they can have everything they need or want. But honestly, I guarantee you that sometimes they would probably just want you there more than they care about the fancy things that you can buy them or that fancy holiday. So have a bit of a point of reflection about that as well. Relationships, family life, all of it. And then for that week, as you're planning it, track your non-negotiables: sleep, training, nutrition, downtime. I've started tracking my sleep. I track when I eat my lunch, all of it. When my training is, I track everything over the course of the week. From there, point 4, the hard conversations. Now, as we've discussed, accountability is a form of self-respect. Being selfish is a form of self-respect. You cannot turn up for others if you're not showing up for yourself. Show up first for yourself, then you are allowing yourself to show up better for others, whether that be personal, professional, whatever the case might be. First and foremost, you should be your main focus and priority. The hardest conversations, as everyone knows in life, are generally the ones that need to be had because they are the ones that actually set us free from whatever might be going on in our lives at that time. I know for a fact that when I have had hard conversations and confronted shit, that has pushed the needle forward more than just avoiding it or avoiding the hard conversation or avoiding conflict or whatever the case might be. Have the hard conversation, even if that means having the hard conversation with yourself about what is and isn't working. That could be systems, people, habits, self-talk. Like, do you talk to yourself negatively every day? I said to you at the very, very start of this, do not use any of this to be hypercritical on yourself in a negative way. Reframe the way you talk. Don't sit there and go, I'm a fucking failure. I didn't do this today. It's like, cool. I might not have got that done today, but I am fucking guarantee you I will get it done tomorrow. Wake up, tick that off the list first thing, start the day with a fucking massive win, build that confidence, build that belief, allow that to cascade into your future. Actionable steps. Identify one area that you're avoiding and take a small action this week. That can be anything. I'm not going to put into your mind what it could be. Identify one thing you are avoiding, make a plan, put it in place, take one step forward in the right direction about that this week. If relevant, you need to call the friend, message the client, have the hard conversation, and reset expectations. As I read to you before, for me, a lot of the things that I'm going to be working with moving forward is probably going to have a hell of a lot of hard conversations, holding myself to a higher standard and holding those I work with and around me to a higher standard, because I just want to see everybody grow. I just want to see everybody doing the best they can in as positive manner as possible, being there to help them when they need it, likewise having them support me when I need it, and really just supporting the growth of those around me. And sometimes that means having a hard conversation with them. Sometimes that means being like, hey, pull your fucking head in. Now, Kiva is actually in the next room, but I can guarantee you, he can attest to this. If there's one person who we'll have hard conversations with, it's Kiva. We do it a lot. And that's not a form of like disrespect or anything. It's a form of love. It's a form of appreciation. It's showing that person that you think so highly of them that you know they can be doing better, or even vice versa. They know you can be doing better. And so they are going to help hold you to a higher standard. If your friends are just supporting you and you're making dumb decisions and they're just like, oh no, it's fine, like don't even worry about it, they're not your friends. Find people who are going to be willing to have hard conversations with you. They're your friends. They're the people who want to see you win. That's all I'm going to say on that. And a little audit about your standards. So this is something you can ask yourself. Would I accept this from someone I admire? This is relevant to another question that I've posed on here before, is if our best friend spoke to us the way we talk to ourselves, would they still be our best friend? Because a lot of people's negative self-talk sometimes is so bad. Like if someone else spoke to you that way, you would be fucking angry, you would be pissed, you would not talk to that person ever again, but you feel that you are going to talk to yourself that way. Or when you're having a hard conversation with yourself, think about how you would approach it talking to your best friend. You're not going to sit there and chat shit at them. You're not going to talk down on them. You're not going to fucking run them into the ground. You're going to come at it from a point of grace, love, and compassion. Hold yourself with that same respect. Talk to yourself. Offer yourself grace. Offer yourself compassion. Offer yourself love. As I said, the best form of self-love is to hold yourself to a higher standard because you know you can achieve more and deserve more. And from there, reset, realign. I've said it. Your audit isn't about guilt. It's about growth. Reflect, realign, reinforcement. Once you start to do the thing, continue the habits that helped you get there. Don't just start to do it and then throw the fucking baby out with the bathwater and then all of a sudden be like, oh, well, I was doing really well. And now I don't know why I'm not doing as well anymore. Then go back in this cycle of like, oh, I better do this, this, and this. If you identify that something helps you, keep fucking doing it. I say it to clients all the time. If we find exercises or something that works that helps us to get out of pain, well, don't just stop doing it the second you're out of pain. It might be a good thing to continue to do that if it's going to help us push the needle forward further for longer. And just adjust your environment to make good decisions automatic. Replace perfectionism with consistency. I've said it time and time again. Consistency trumps everything. Perfectionism is a fucking bullshit ideology that people have made up to give themselves these free passes as to why things aren't as good as they can be, because they're like, oh, well, it needs to be perfect or I'm not doing it at all. It's like that all or nothing mindset. Doesn't fucking work. Consistency over everything. And move with speed. You do not need to blow your life up to change it. You just need to audit it honestly and act accordingly. Have the hard conversation with yourself. Have the hard conversation with those around you. Put a plan in place and stick to that plan. You deserve it. Those around you deserve it. And that's basically the way we're going to finish this today. As always, if this has resonated, please share it around. If you found value in this, share it with a friend. Send it to a friend. Send it to someone. Send me a message. Let me know that you enjoyed it. Fucking leave a comment or leave a like on Spotify or whatever. If you're not subscribed, which I'm assuming most people who listen to this are, if you're not subscribed, subscribe, like, comment. If you're on YouTube, go fucking like, comment, subscribe there too for me. Help me out. Otherwise, I appreciate every single person for listening. Thank you very much for your time. As always, if there is anything that I can help with, if you have any questions, queries, comments, if you just need a hand, if you need help, if you have fucking anything, reach out. I love chatting. Have a fantastic day, and I'll speak to you again on the next one.